Hey Nisha,
Hey Ragavi, are you taking over my job of introducing the cold open?
I think I am. And here is my question.
Okay.
What would be your response if you see something cute?
Something cute. Like what? Like a baby or an animal or something? Like I would want to squish it, I guess.
Yeah, but what if it's like just really cute? Like unbelievably cute.
Oh, that's easy. I would just straight up murder it.
Oh, okay. That went a little further than I expected.
It's cute aggression.
No, yeah, sure. But you might be worse than the woman we are going to be talking about today.
Oh God.
Have you ever wondered why women don't do more crime?
Well, we're here to tell you there's misconduct all the time.
Women are thieves and murderers.
That's gross misconduct.
Con artists, money launderers.
Criminal misconduct.
Financial fraud that's hard to track.
Take some planning, but still misconduct.
Even breaching a contract.
That's more civil though.
It's misconduct. It's misconduct. We tell you all about women that suck. Things that make you say, what the? It's misconduct.
Hello, and welcome to Misconduct. We are a podcast that talks about women who are criminals or have done some really bad and awful things. I am Ragavi.
And I am Nisha. And I am just really excited about today's episode because I did nothing to prepare for it. This is a surprise episode. Ragavi's done all of the research and she's going to be doing all of the storytelling and misconductors. You and I are going to discover it together. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Why are you still trying to force misconductors?
It's happening.
I feel like most people have responded to us saying misconduce is just easier. It's fewer syllables.
I'm ignoring those people.
Sure, whatever. It's fine. Wow, you are ignoring the people like the woman today ignored her people. You know what? It's a very elaborate.
Wow.
We don't need to do all that. I'm just excited to take you through this journey about this woman because, Nisha, you actually know this woman.
Oh.
Yeah, you just don't know this particular fact about her. Before we start, just very quickly, disclaimers as usual. This is a true crime podcast. It is not meant for children. If you are a child, please get off. However, please ask your parents to listen to us. We need the listens. Listener discretion is advised. Now,
All right, cool. I'm excited. Please tell me.
yeah, okay. So let me paint you a picture because if I don't context set, who am I at all? Let's go to 1770s France. What do you think is going on right now?
So I know that the US is about to get their independence.
No, I said France. Ugh, said
I'm
France.
just thinking.
Okay. Oh, okay. cool.
Is it the Révolution?
It is indeed the revolution. It's the French Revolution. And just try to remember a woman in relation to the French Revolution.
I mean, there's only one name that comes to my mind. It's
Which is...
Marie Antoinette.
Yes, it is for English speakers. Marie Antoinette. That's absolutely correct. We know Marie Antoinette was the former queen of France under King Louis XVI. She was also effectively one of the most direct reasons, along with her husband, for the end of the French monarchy. You knew this, right?
Yeah, we spoke about it when she became a quote-unquote friend of Jeanne de Valois-Cerny.
Yes, she did. Your accent work gets suppressed, just worse every
single time.
season. Every season, just in the last 3 minutes, it's been getting worse. It's excruciating. However, I'm going to be saying it for most of this episode, so thank God about that. No, but you are correct. We did mention her in the episode about Jeanne de Valois. In fact, the entire debacle around the diamond necklace and the fact that it was a big-ass scam, that was a huge reason as to why Marie Antoinette and her husband were seen as really bad rulers. Because, I mean, think about it. If you got fished by someone and you're also supposed to be the ruler of this giant empire, people are going to be like, I don't really trust this person.
Yeah. Am I the drama? Yes. You are.
Exactly that. But in that episode, we didn't go into Marie Antoinette too much because it was obviously not about her. So let's do a little bit of background research on her.
Okay.
First of all, Marie Antoinette was born on 2nd November 1755. I want to believe that makes her a Sagittarius.
No, it's a Scorpio, if that helps.
Wow, she has so much Scorpio energy, I presume. I don't know anything about astrology. But Marie was the youngest daughter of Empress Maria Theresa, who was the ruler of the Habsburg Empire. And her father, Francis I, was the Holy Roman Emperor. So she was blue-blooded as hell. Like those crabs. Crabs are blue-blooded, right? Some
Lobsters?
crabs.
One of those.
Sure. Actually, all of us. Because
Octopus? I have no idea.
because oxygenated blood is basically purple blue.
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know why you're asking me. I did
I'm not
commerce and then arts, man.
I studied biology. Anyway, Marie Antoinette was really, really royal all through and through. So she was, as a woman in the royal family, she was serving her singular purpose of being married off for a political alliance. And
Wow.
she did that well. Her mother arranged her to be married to the Dauphin of France, who was Prince Louis. And this was largely part of a series of marriages that happened to end the 7 Years' War that was fought all over Europe.
You can actually learn more about this if you watch that movie with Kirsten Dunst.
Kristen Dunst, yeah, Marie
one.
Antoinette, which you have not watched.
I've totally seen it. I saw half in your house.
You know you have it. I know what you watched in my house because I said, wow, this preview of this movie on Netflix looks amazing. Would you like to watch it, Nisha? To which you said, no, Ragavi, let's please watch Riverdale. So I know how this went down. Don't lie to me.
Riverdale is amazing. Please continue.
Fine. Anyway, this young couple, Marie Antoinette and, King Louis, were 15 and 16 when they were married, which makes them really, really young, like children, effectively. Yes. But there's one thing that I'm not sure if you knew this. Marie Antoinette and her husband would take a really long time to consummate their marriage. Did you know about that?
I did know about this. You know why?
Yeah?
Because we saw half the movie. They took so long with the entire audience, remember?
Oh, when they had a bunch of people come and try to watch them on their wedding night. Let's be honest, that's the first 10 minutes of the movie.
At least I've seen 10 minutes.
Wow, congrats. I'm so proud of you, Nisha. But in real life, they would take 8 years to have their first child. Yeah, and the entire marriage is, of course, plagued with rumors of infidelity. And, like the whole birthing and heir thing obviously took like a lot of their time and effort. But you know what was happening in those 8 years when they were trying to birth an heir? Do you know what was happening, Nisha?
The revolution?
There was indeed the revolution. So in the 1770s, France was in general just like a shitty country with some bad governance, okay? And I don't want to trivialize it. You guys can read it up, but it was basically just budgetary crisis after another, one by one. And the French royal family was spending just too much money to be okay right now.
They had a lot of like lavish parties and stuff, right?
They did. They also taxed people non-stop.
Oh, wow.
To have these parties. In fact, by 1788, the total state debt had increased to 4.5 billion livres. I did not do the maths for that in current US dollars, but I'm going to assume that it is a lot.
Yes. I think mathematically it is 3 crap loads of money.
Wow.
Yes.
Is that imperial or metric?
Yes.
But you know what? Let's just boil it all down to the common people were not happy. Okay. Like they were itching for a revolution.
They were also hungry.
Yeah, they were, dude, like apparently the price of bread escalated by like 35 times.
Yeah.
In just the first year before the revolution. So whatever, it's just terrible across the board. And there's a new privileged and bored princess in town as well. And by 1774, they also become the king and queen because, the earlier king of France passes away, which makes King Louis XVI now the king of France. And Marie Antoinette suddenly was like, wow, the treasury is all mine. So let me just do whatever I want. And also, considering the whole lack of consummation thing, it's pretty agreed that Marie Antoinette and her husband did not get along too well during their early married years. She was, busy partying and he was kind of a big old nerd and did not want the touch of a woman at the time, which is fine. You should wait till you're ready, not because your dad said have a child. That's fair. God. Yeah, but also, this is interesting. I just wanted to tell you this because I thought you would find it interesting. Marie Antoinette and King Louis lived in the palace at Versailles, which had 2,300 rooms. Spread over 700,000 square feet.
That is so cool. Should we just make a quick trip to France and come back to see these 2,300 rooms?
You know what? I don't think we can see all those rooms even if we get there because it would take us like 15 years. But you kind of understand now that like the queen and king never had to even see each other. They didn't.
Oh,
realistically.
wow. I
Yeah.
did not think of it from that perspective. Yeah, that sounds like a crazy game of hide and seek.
Yeah, you could get lost so easily. So yeah, this young couple was having just zero marital relations. And because of this, Marie Antoinette didn't have any children for a very long time. And she just did whatever she wanted. And that's how we land on our crime.
Ooh.
Was that a good one? Was it a good segue?
It is.
Yeah.
I'm very
Alright,
excited.
cool. Okay, I'm going to get into it. Okay. So in 1776, Marie Antoinette was
That's
riding
when the
around.
US got their
Independence.
freedom.
That is
Yeah.
correct. They gained independence. But in 1776, Marie Antoinette didn't really care about any of this stuff. She was instead riding around in her carriage with her posse all over Versailles and having a great time. And the thing is, can you just imagine? This is the 1700s when rubber wasn't really a thing. So imagine having to send it in a carriage with no rubber tires down a dirt road. Asphalt also did not exist. Forget concrete.
My spine already hurts.
Yeah, I can hear her spondylitis from here. It's really, really bad. So just imagining this makes me feel like, oh, so stressful. But she loved this. She loved just riding around in her carriage because she was kind of she just loved doing outdoorsy things like this. And on one such trip in 1776, when she was basically Tokyo drifting down some dirt road near Versailles, the carriage came to a screeching halt. When she peered out, she found a young boy on the road, and the carriage had basically almost run over this little child.
Oh.
The child looked up at Mary, and Mary was smitten. This was the most beautiful boy she had ever seen in her life. So the boy's name was Armand Garnier, or Francois Michel Garnier. Francois Michel being his original name, and Armand Garnier being what he was called in court eventually. So this was a 5-year-old orphan boy at the time of their meeting, and he was raised by his grandmother, who also had 5 additional siblings as well. And by all accounts, the boy had big blue eyes and fine gold hair. He was just cute as hell.
Aww.
Yeah. So remember what we said earlier about what would you do if you see something cute?
I'm deeply regretting my answer, but please continue.
So Mary spotted this boy, and tell me, just assume, what do you think she did?
I mean, the safest answer is kidnap.
Well, we've had a long true crime journey if your safest answer is kidnap. But you would be right. So she just sort of picked up the boy and she tried to put him in her carriage.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so now the boy fought back because he has a family. Yes, he fought back quite a bit. He did not want to go with her. Okay, and Marie tried. She tried a lot. But remember, she has zero experience with children. So all of this is very new to her. But when you just listen to all of this, you can sort of feel this is the textbook definition of kidnapping. Literally taking a child away without their guardian's consent or even awareness and just running off.
Yeah, I feel like she may have had better luck if she tried Turkish delights. That's a Narnia reference.
That is an old reference.
I know.
I say that because the movies did not do well. So they were sort of erased from my cultural landscape.
I liked it. I liked the first one.
I really liked them too. I specifically only started eating Turkish Delight after this, and I did not enjoy it as much.
I loved it.
It just sticks in your teeth.
It does. But you have to have a crazy sweet tooth for it.
Yeah, because it's literally just sugar. It's just nothing else to it. It's sugar and some rose water. It's the rose water part that pisses me off.
I would sell my siblings for a room full of Turkish Delights.
You know what? You might have a chance if Marie Antoinette was around you and your sibling was cute. Because what happened after this whole kidnapping attempt was that Armand's grandmother turned up at the spot, thankfully.
Okay.
So now Marie Antoinette told her that she was taking the child. Okay, she was just like, "Madam, I'm taking this child." And the grandmother was like, "What? What are you saying?" Now, I just want to say, whatever accounts we have of this entire incident and Armand's life in general are quite limited. But we have the first-hand retelling of the story by this woman named Jean-Louis Henriette Campan. She was basically a French educator and writer. And for a while, she served as Marie Antoinette's lady's maid. Now, I do want to tell you one thing before we proceed. Henriette Campan, she has 2 very famous quotes to her name. One is this whole story about Marie Antoinette and Armand. The other quote is a very descriptive piece about Marie Antoinette's toilet.
Oh, why do I feel like I've read this before?
You may have. Basically, it talks about what's in there, how they clean her, how there is a different maid for every limb.
Yes.
It's quite elaborate. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I remember this.
Yeah. If to everybody else, just please go look it up. It's a really interesting insight to see how spoiled Marie Antoinette was, because she had everything she needed, and yet she chose to kidnap this child.
Oh, God.
Anyway, back to the story. So Amand's grandmother, she comes running to rescue him, and Mary was like, fine, I guess I'll find out who this child is. And she's like, what happened to the child's mother? And the grandmother responds saying that the child's mother is her daughter, and she and her son-in-law recently passed away, leaving Amand and his siblings in her care. And at that realization, Mary apparently said, well, then I shall adopt him.
Okay. This is basically kidnapping with a few more steps, no? Like in this case, it's not like she did like background research. It's not like his grandmother had a chance to background research this person and be like,
No.
okay, maybe they'll have a good life. No. This is kidnapping with one extra step.
Yeah, but realistically, if I was a peasant woman in the 1700s and some
You had
royal
6
woman
children?
came to me. Yeah, first of all, children I didn't even want. This is my daughter's kid.
Yes.
I didn't ask for this. I've raised my children, like 50% of them have died because of consumption or whatever. And the rest that survived, sure, good for them. But realistically, I don't want to raise these children.
Right.
You know, and it's hard. It's
I get it.
Yeah, I kind of get why she's sort of like,
Okay, take and go.
because she did. She really said that, because at this point, the grandmother realized that she could benefit from this. And, she told the queen about the fact that this child had siblings very gently, to which the queen just said, well, then I shall take this child and provide for the rest. Do you consent, lady? And the grandmother said, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, she tried to really contain her happiness, because she was like, what is this jackpot?
Yeah. Just in the background, like, oh no, what a terrible thing to happen. Get out.
Yeah, that's effectively what happened. And I don't blame the grandmother. As terrible as the situation is, we have seen in modern times people sell their children for much less. So I cannot say that she was terrible. Was Marie terrible for just being like, I'm going to take this child with me? Yes, she was. And that is what she did. She just left the place with the child upon her lap. Now, Henriette Campan's accounts say that the child did not want to go with her. And all of Marie's cajoling did not stop him from crying. In fact, they had to stop their trip from that village to Versailles short and take a break, because the child was so agitated that he kicked the queen.
I mean, who cares? But good on the child.
Yeah. Now, the queen would go on to formally adopt him, whatever that means under French law at the time. But I think effectively what she did was take him as a ward without his consent and paying off his grandmother. So, yeah, kidnapping across the board.
I think it's trafficking, because his grandma basically was like, give money, take child.
Yeah, essentially. And as you guys ruminate on that, I think we should take a little break.
Welcome back, everyone, from the break. So far, we found out, you and I have discovered that Marie Antoinette had a very dark and disturbing side project, which was picking up children and, I guess, trafficking them. But Ragavi, I really want to know more. Please continue.
I will tell you more. In fact, the part where you said it's a side hustle, it kind of was, because it is, she is likely to have adopted and kept in her royal life at least 3 children, including Amand, along with the fact that she had multiple other children she had adopted all across France and Belgium that she just would keep in other palaces. So it's basically...
So
it's
she
like
was
when you
picking
have,
up children as souvenirs?
Yeah, but she was feeding them, so best mother ever. I mean...
Yes.
Yeah, it is great.
The bar is so low.
The bar is on the ground. That's how bad. She stepped over it and said, screw you. But it's kind of like, you know how you have a farmhouse where you have like a dog there, and then maybe a townhouse and you have another dog there, and then you have a palace in Versailles and 4,000 dogs there.
This comparison of children and dog, it's not something Like, it's ironic because many years back, my family and I had the privilege of going to Paris, and, we saw a couple of like the old castles. And if you see like the ticketing stuff, it always says adults and then some cost, dogs and children, this other cost. And like every time I saw it, I'm like, why is the dog first?
As opposed to if you're just going to Humayun's tomb or the Taj Mahal, the dogs are already there. You just have to go pet them. They live there, in fact. Where do you live? In an apartment?
Lame.
Like they were free to just pick up and carry around. So this Armand is the boy that you were speaking about before the break. He was formally adopted by Queen Marie with the sort of passive blessing of King Louis, her husband. The worst part is, though, they sort of saw it as an exercise in raising a child, like as preparation to be real parents to their real children.
Oh
and this energy is something that Armand picked up because Henriette Capman, who is our singular source for this entire ordeal, she states that the child was consistently unhappy about the adoption and that he missed his family and siblings throughout. In fact, I have a quote from her, and this is how it goes. The arrival of Her Majesty at her apartments at Versailles, holding the little rustic child by the hand, astonished the whole household. He cried out with intolerable shrillness that he wanted his grandmother, his brother Louis, and his sister Marianne. Nothing could calm him. He was taken away by the wife of a servant who was appointed to attend him as a nurse.
That is so sad.
Yeah. And she just said, wow, he's loud. Please, nurse, take him away.
Oh my God. You kidnapped him.
Yeah.
I wonder why he's crying.
Yeah, it makes it very evident that she didn't really consider people beneath her station to even be people. They were just property, effectively, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just really, really awful. But his siblings, who he missed a lot, they did get taken care of very well because, the queen kept her word. She paid for the children's education and generally for, to raise them. Eventually, Armand's, one of his brothers, Dennis, he was employed in the royal orchestra as a cello player. And all of his sisters received very generous dowries for their marriages, something they could not have even dreamed of during their lives as common people. So,
but the kid never got a childhood.
He didn't at all. And I know there are some who might look at this as the greater good argument almost, where, okay, one child is not doing that great, but the others are all right. I don't know how to justify that.
I don't know either. I feel like my opinion on that keeps changing now and then. But I think when it comes to children, there is no greater good argument. It's like they didn't ask to be born. You birthed them. It is now your responsibility to take care of them. And it cannot be like at the cost of their mental health. And I guess mental health, of course, was not a conversation back then.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the cost of their childhood, at least.
But if you think about it, really, children were not even seen as people, right? Because
that's true.
Till literally maybe the 1930s and 40s, child labor was absolutely fine.
Yeah.
The right for a child to have a childhood is something that came about in the last century.
Even technically, Marie Antoinette was basically groomed to be a wife of someone, and she got married off at 15. What childhood did she have?
15 was old, by the way.
That's midlife crisis.
Yeah, she was an old maid because knowing from that time, she should have died of the plague at 16. She didn't, thankfully. Or worse, just straight up arsenic poisoning.
From all the lipstick.
From her hair. She would have been crushed under the weight of her own hair. It's crazy. So, children were just not afforded the concept of a childhood. They were not considered real people. And that was just how it was thought about then. Marie Antoinette just looked at this kid like a pet, really,
And I get it.
In fact, like I said earlier, Armand wasn't even his real name. There was a name that was given to him after his adoption. His real name was Francois Michel. And this was effectively a way of taking away his original identity, right? There is something to be said by the fact that he was very spoiled by the queen, because Armand was considered an intimate and integral part of the royal family. Like, he attended breakfasts and banquets, he went to church, he was present at royal events. He was everywhere with the king and queen most of the time. He got the best clothes, the finest silk, like the softest wools, and, access to the best entertainment, the best food, the best education. like he could ever get. And in fact, it's said that even though the queen adopted many other children, and by adopted, I obviously just mean just
Picked up.
Yeah.
Like little puppies on the street. Yes.
Just put in her bag. Just like, like I've always said that I would love a miniature version of Nisha, like just a small version of her, like a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids version of her, to put in my pocket or my bag. And as I walk around, she says like cute shit to me. It's that, but like with children. That's what the
With
queen
real
has
people.
done. Yeah. I mean, you're a real person, Nisha.
Yeah, but like the mini version of me, is it really me?
Yeah, it has to be, because otherwise I would throw it out. Sorry.
Oh, I thought this is like a ship of thesis kind of thing.
Oh, no, it's not. I'm not taking a chunk of your skin and then slowly replacing
Cloning
it over time. Yeah. I'm just taking you and I'm shrinking you down, putting it in my pocket.
Can you imagine like the amount of sunscreen I would need if I was that small? It'd be so less. I would save so much money.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Also, you'd be in my pocket most of the time. Do you really need sunscreen?
I mean, yes, but
Yeah.
still.
That's fair. We are going to die under the UV rays of the sun. But back to Marie Antoinette.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to say that she made every effort possible to make sure that this kid had whatever semblance of a childhood he could still have away from his family. Because, like I said, aside from the other children that the queen adopted, Armand would have a very special place in her heart. For one, she was under a lot of pressure to birth an heir at this time. And Armand's presence apparently gave the queen some respite from the daily reminder that, she had not performed her singular role as the consort of a monarch. But think about it from this perspective. She just took a child and now the child is her therapist.
Oh my God. But that's ridiculous. Like, I feel like she can learn from Indian families. Like, birth your own therapist. What is wrong with you?
Birth your own therapist. That's true. If you think the first one is not leaning in your favor, birth a second one.
Yes.
And groom that one properly so it knows that you are the one that he should be
supporting. Yes. Correct.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do that to my cats though. Where I'm just
but you didn't birth your cat, so it's
I didn't
fine.
birth my cats, but
Are you Marie Antoinette? You picked up one from the street and now they're your therapist.
I picked up two, so I'm worse than Marie Antoinette. But you know what? In all of this, we have to remember a couple of things, okay? As much as the queen wanted to make sure Armand was part of his life, Armand was not a prince. And he was not seen as a formal part of the court. No one took him seriously. He would never be accepted as a true heir. Even the king saw him as a momentary distraction and not a son. And he also frequently pissed off the king and queen because he rebelled very, very often and refused to do what he was told.
Of course.
To the point that in 1778, after Marie Antoinette gave birth to her first child, she just lost interest in Armand after that.
That is so sad. So when you get the shiny new toy, you just discard the hand-me-down. I mean, I'm not surprised. Honestly, I'm not surprised. Because she's a terrible person, first of all. And she's also a child. But yeah, that's sad for Armand.
Yeah, so she just sort of stopped spending time with him. And he was relegated to the status of a courtier after this. But he wasn't close to the king. So King Louis didn't want him. And also he was a guy, so he couldn't be a lady's maid to the queen. So he was just trapped in the palace with a life that he was forced to lead, like this golden cage of sort. And Marie Antoinette just kept having more children and partying it out and ignoring this child consistently. And he hadn't seen his family in decades, effectively. So he couldn't go back to them either.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So nice. What a wonderful and happy story.
No, wait. There's a reason I picked this story in particular, because there is some justice served. And I thought you would appreciate that in particular.
Okay.
Let's get to this. Okay, so Armand continued to be a rebel child through his adult years also. So in 1789, the French Revolution breaks out across the country. And eventually by the 1790, it becomes extremely violent, basically an all-out war against the ruling classes. In 1789, the king and queen also lose their first son, who is Prince Louis Joseph. He dies because of tuberculosis. Prince Louis Charles would succeed him. Now, in 1791, the royal family would try to escape Paris, but they would be detained by the rebel forces. And after a series of prolonged, shammy public trials, the king and queen were both executed in January and October 1793.
Yes.
So at the end of it all, Marie Antoinette was not allowed to see her children. In fact, her son, Louis Charles, who would have become the next king, he was forcibly removed from her care when she was in prison. And he was basically retrained, so to speak, by the revolutionaries to become a Republican. So when she died in 1793, effectively her son was turned against her.
Ah, well, I
Yeah.
guess that works.
There is a little more. So Armand is alive for parts of this. He also, grew publican sympathies over time.
Yeah.
Because it turns out, Nisha, when you kidnap a child against his wishes and raise him in a home that is not his and, ignore all his needs for your own biological children, that's going to just come and bite you in your ass. So at the age of 20, Armand joins the French revolutionaries in armed combat.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Good
he actually,
for him.
Yeah, you know what? He came to be fondly known as the terrorist of Versailles.
Ah, I like
Cute,
it.
right? Yeah.
Very cute.
Cute in a very, very morbid sense.
Of course.
But in November 1972, unfortunately, he was killed in the Battle of Jemappes, which is where the now country of Belgium is. So Armand would not live long enough to see the downfall of the French monarchy or the execution of his adopted parents. But I'd like to believe somewhere in the afterlife, he's just sitting around and smirking and thinking of that guillotine that went down on Marie Antoinette's head.
Yeah, that's all I hope for him.
That's all I hope for him as well. That's disgusting of us. Wow, how did we turn so violent?
This is what happens when you do 4 seasons of a true crime podcast. Get with the program.
That's true. But that brings us to the end of this very tiny mini surprise episode.
That was exciting.
Wasn't it? I thought you would particularly enjoy this because we both share the same amount of hatred for Marie Antoinette.
We really do.
I also really like guillotines.
Also, I got to do the French accent. I feel like that was a bonus for me.
Yeah, I tried. My accent really wavered a lot, which is honestly better than Nisha with her accent.
It just basically gets thicker and thicker to the point where you have no idea what I'm saying anymore, but you know it's some French thing.
That is true. It's the worst. But guys, if you like this episode, please go and listen to all of the others. If this is the first one you're listening to, we are on the IVM Podcast Network and literally any platform. Think of the platform and we are on it. So you have no excuse is all I really have to say.
Also, tell us what you think of this new format. I mean, did you enjoy the surprise episode? Please write to us on Instagram. We are at MisconductPod.
And also, please don't forget to review us on whichever platform you listen to us on. Apple, Audible, and of course, Spotify and YouTube. Please leave comments on our YouTube videos so we know whether you like this, what we can do better, and, if you'd like any other content from us. And right before we end, Nisha, would you like to say...
I know what you meant.
Beautiful.
All right, and we will see you on the next episode of Misconduct.